Good morning, everybody. I'm here with another What Sold From Last Week video. In today's video, I'll be talking about all of my sales that sold on eBay and Poshmark last week. If you're new here, I go to thrift stores such as Goodwill or the Goodwill bins. I pick up items for really cheap and I flip them for their full potential on sites like eBay and Poshmark to make a profit. We're just gonna dive right in. Ouch. This week hurt, you guys. It was a very slow week, which was to be expected, but this is under half of what we normally make, but it was Christmas week. As you can see, everything that is reported here happened between December 19th through the 25th, and I would just mark your calendars for next year to just give yourself a heads up that this is going to be a slower week, traditionally through reselling. That way you know to expect it and you aren't surprised when the time comes. In total, we sold 59 items for a gross sales total of $1,959.18. So didn't even break 2,000, but that's all right. Already the week after Christmas, we're seeing a huge boom in sales. So hopefully this coming week will make up for that. My average sale price was $33.21. Estimated cost of goods based on average buy cost was $236 for everything that we sold last week. And then estimated net profit, less cost of goods, less the fees and the shipping costs, was $1,182.55. On eBay, we sold 39 items. On Poshmark, we sold just 20. Gross sales on eBay was $1,324.18, and on Poshmark, it was $635. We're diving right into these sales. I don't have as many to show you today, and definitely not as high profit as some of the other ones last week, but still some really good, solid sellers that I do recommend you pick up due to their sell-through rate. This first one is by Eddie Bauer. I do like picking up Eddie Bauer, but I do look for specific pieces, and pretty much anything with crazy prints and any of the outdoorsy brands I would do a comp on because they can resell for a lot higher value than some of your typical basic pieces from these brands. So in Eddie Bauer, I do look for nicer materials. This one was merino wool, and I look for nice prints. This one was a Western print. So those two things paired together is why I picked it up. I paid $2.99 at a thrift store. I accepted an offer of $27. Christmas is over, but throughout the year, we do pick up nice or unique, interesting Christmas sweaters and sweatshirts. This one was a pretty clean condition for its age, at least. It was a vintage Christmas sweater. It had a couple of light stains, which you'll see we noted here. And I made the first photo a close-up of the graphic, and I highly recommend you do that to just really showcase what you're trying to sell in the item. And you'll see that through a couple of pieces we have here. So I did a close-up as the cover photo of this. Picked this up at a thrift store for $1.99. Definitely just picked it up for the subject matter and the graphics, not the brand. I accepted an offer on this of $30. Next up is the brand Knox Rose. Really love picking this brand up. It's one we reserve for the bins. Bins is where you pay by the pound, and so typically I can get it for $1 or less, but this does have a really great sell-through rate. This was also a larger size, which is why I think it sold so quickly. It was a size extra large. Had it listed for $19.99. It sold on an offer for $17.99. Next up, actually the next two are both Brooks Brothers suspenders. They did go to different people, but I thought I'd showcase them together. I found a bunch of suspenders at the bins one day, and Brooks Brothers was the majority of the brand. You can see there is a little bit of wear, but these have a really good sell-through rate. And what you really want to look for is the ones with the leather ends. Those seem to be the more dressier ones that people are looking for. Had this one listed for $24.99. It did sell for full asking price. As well as this one we picked up at the bins, just different colors. This one's in a little bit better of condition, and we accepted an offer of $26. I priced this one a little bit higher because it was in better condition. This is a pair of Lululemon men's pants. I like to showcase these because even though I know most people know what Lululemon is, a lot of people don't know that they make men's pieces, and so I like to showcase them in my what sold videos because if you're not keeping your eye out for these in the men's section, you might pass them. Mainly because they don't usually have the brand tag on the inside. You have to look for that little logo, which apparently we didn't even take a close-up of, but it's typically on the corner of these pants. But if you're not paying attention, you would pass on these. And what I like to do is just go through the men's pants and look for anything that looks super thick, feel it. If it does feel like high quality, I check to see if the logo's there, and most of the time it's Lululemon. So these were just a pair of gray dress pants, and I paid $4.39 for it. We had it listed for $64.99, and it sold for full asking price. I in general don't have a problem moving Lululemon, but especially the men's, I can't seem to keep them at my store. Next up are two Patagonia pieces. Also wanted to just showcase this together. Patagonia is a brand that doesn't sell for as much as it used to, and so we are a lot more careful about picking up the basic pieces, but even the basic pieces, which is what I wanted to show you today, can still sell for a decent amount and have a really good sell-through rate. So if the price is right, we will pick them up. Paid $4.39 for this. It's a very lightweight zip pullover shirt, and it did sell for a full asking price of $34.89. And then we also sold this men's long sleeve t-shirt. We picked this up at the bins. It sold on an offer for $26. I still pick up even the basics like these as long as they're in good condition. Next up is a style I thought I would point out. I don't think I've ever talked about this on my channel, but men's windbreaker pants, and I would use those keywords in your title, when they are all over nylon windbreaker type pants in the men's department, and certain brands can sell for quite a bit. This is just by Under Armour. It is a loose fit in the Heat Gear line, which loose and Heat Gear in the men's department do really well. Pick these up for $2.50 at a thrift store. Once again, just a pair of men's nylon windbreaker pants. They sold for a full asking price of $32.89. And I can usually get over $30 for men's windbreaker pants in Under Armour and Nike and sometimes other brands if they are in good condition. But what you want to look for, once again, is the all-over nylon material. Next up is a brand that I really like selling. It is Toad & Co. It is kind of like a hippie, outdoorsy brand. A lot of times they're made out of organic materials. You'll see this one's made out of organic cotton. And they're just supposed to be an eco-friendly, sustainable brand. They used to be called Horny Toad, and then they transitioned their name to Toad & Co. But I still think that even the Horny Toad ones can sell well because you can't get them anymore. So I just found this t-shirt at the bins, and it sold for our full asking price of $29.88. Next up is Sunsense by Jamie Saddock. This sold immediately as soon as we listed it, I think maybe within the same day, so I would keep your eye out for this. Jamie Saddock is a women's golf brand, and their stuff in general does really well, but this was the first time that I'd found this line Sunsense, and I would recommend picking it up. It is a very lightweight zip pullover shirt, and in this case had a really nice abstract detail, and I think it's just to protect from the sun while you're out as kind of like a base layer. Paid $4.39 for this. Like I said, it sold pretty much immediately after getting it listed for $37.87. Next up is the brand Athleta. I just wanted to point out that we do still pick up some Athleta pieces, but I really look for the style number, which is on the inside on the tags. It's actually on this little tag down here, but we're not showing it in our photos. But I look for more substantial, thicker, higher quality feeling items or things that aren't just your typical leggings, and then I'll look up the style number to get an idea of what that particular style was going for. This was called the Traverse leggings, and they were doing pretty good. I knew to look into it because, again, it was super thick and a little bit more substantial. These did sell for a full asking price of $29.87, and we originally paid $4.39 for it at a thrift store. This next brand is a men's brand I talk about quite often. I love picking up Carbon to Cobalt. This is a men's brand that has a really good following, so keep your eye out for it. This was a more substantial piece. It was a zip pullover sweater, And so for that reason, it sold a little bit higher than some of the other carbon to cobalt pieces. We paid $4.39 at a thrift store. It sold for full asking price of $39.87. And I do think that this is a brand that thrift stores pretty much don't know about, so you can usually get it where it's not priced up. Found this at the bins, and we almost didn't pick it up because if you pay close attention here, it used to be a jacket, and the zip sleeves are gone as well as the zip hood, and you'll see we included that here. Baby fat, if it has this giant logo on it, can do well. So I would keep your eye out for big logo baby fat pieces, and I just know that from selling this brand in the past. I just picked up on the fact that those were the pieces that were selling, and right now Y2K stuff is really popular, which I would consider this brand a Y2K brand, once again when it's got the big logo. So I picked this up at the bins. It was pretty lightweight because it was a puffer vest, and it sold for full asking price of $39.87. I actually expected this to sit a little bit longer, but I'm glad we picked it up and it sold so quick. These next two pieces are both by Tommy Bahama. I talked about this a lot, but the men's Tommy Bahama silk shirts do really well. Pretty much nothing else in that brand sells as well. So we mainly only pick up the silk shirts in the men's department, but they are very tried and true. And this one was a size XXL, so a larger size. What I like to say is for the plain basic ones like this, you're going to get about 25. And for the brighter colored printed ones, you'll get about 30, sometimes more if it's more rare. And these two are both great examples of that. So I paid $4.39 for each of these. This plain one sold for $24.87, so $25. And then this one sold for $29.87 for $30. So just a good example of where the prints really make a difference. But we really like picking them up, and we try to stick to the larger sizes. Moving on to some Poshmark sales. This is something we got at the bins. It is a Lily Pulitzer sleeveless romper, and pretty much anything Lily Pulitzer we pick up, especially when it has bright patterns like this. I think the sailboat pattern really helped to carry this one. It sold for $42. Next up is a brand I would keep your eye out for. The brand is 31, and surprisingly, it has a really big following, and depending on what piece you get, the more substantial bags, the larger ones, can do really well. And it usually says 31 on the zipper pull, and then also on the inside of the bag, so it's pretty easy to spot. And they do have some nicer prints. I have found two of these now, these like duffel roller luggage bags. They all sell for about $50 pre-owned. So if they're in good condition, I pick them up. I paid $4.99 for this at a thrift store, and once again, it sold for $50. Next up is a brand, if it has the right graphics, I do like picking up because it has a following. It is Simply Southern. You'll see that the front of the shirt actually looks like this, but we chose to put the back of the shirt as the cover photo because that is its selling point. And so once again, just wanted to point that out, that if you do have a selling point in something, make sure that it is your cover photo, because someone might not ever click into it to even know that this exists. I paid $2.50 for this at a thrift store. The sunflower is why it sold so much, and it sold for $20. Next up is another one of my favorite men's brands to sell. It's Denim Supply by Ralph Lauren, and I pretty much pick up anything in the men's department in this brand, and then also a lot of the women's as well. Size XXL, so that helped to carry it. This is just a graphic t-shirt. I paid $4.39 for it, and it sold for $30, which is really good for a t-shirt. This is one of my favorite things to find regardless of brand. It is the all over cable knit wool chunky cardigans and sweaters in both the men's and the women's. This one I got really lucky with. It was new with tags, and this is the brand Carigdon, I think is how you pronounce it. But if you see anything wool and made in Ireland, check into it, do some comps because they do really well. And then just in general, anything chunky wool and cable knit, keep your eye out for. I paid $6.99 for this. I paid up because it was new with tags. It sold on an offer for $56. These boots were a great find at the thrift store. I paid $4.99 for this. The brand is called Corral Vintage. I would definitely keep your eye out for this brand. These boots in particular were a more, what I think, a more rare style. Here's the logo, Corral Vintage. Really great condition, but they had the cross kind of etched into it, as well as some wings. Anytime I see cowboy boots, cowgirl boots, I always look into them. They sell really well for me. I priced these very competitively. Very competitively. I could have probably held out and got over $100 for these, but I priced them at $85. Someone sent me an offer for $65 and I went ahead and accepted. Once again, just wanted to say though that I did price these super competitively, so you could probably get more for them if you're willing to hold out. Picked these shoes up at the bins. They were a pair of Doc Martens, and I've actually never seen Doc Martens where it didn't have the contrast yellow stitching here, which is why I think nobody picked them up at the bins, but we noticed that they were high quality leather, and so we looked. They were Doc Martens. This is called the Kennett sandal, and these are a women's kind of wide, chunky sandal. I think this style was only sold not in the United States, in another country. So I couldn't find a whole lot of info on it because of that, but I was able to find a couple similar comps and priced accordingly. The footbeds of these you'll see are pretty dirty, but kind of like Birkenstocks, it doesn't really matter. People still buy them in this brand. So got these at the bins and they sold on an offer for $46. Next up is one of my favorite brands to find. It is Xcvi. I wanted to point this one out. They usually kind of look grungy boho. This is like an acid wash pull-on pant or legging, whatever you want to call it. But Xcvi has a line called wearables. And so when people see this tag, they don't realize that it's Xcvi. The only reason that I learned that was because of the xcvi.com. And so since then, if I see wearables, I always pick it up. It's kind of an unassuming tag, so you wouldn't know it, but this stuff does really, really good. I paid 99 cents for this at a thrift store. It sold for $35. This next one is a handbag brand I don't think a lot of people know about, but they make really high quality leather bags. The brand is Margo. We priced this a little lower because of the wear on the inside of the bag, and it was a little bit of a smaller crossbody. Really, really nice leather in this brand Margo, and I tend to pick it up. We find it a lot at the bins and people just pass on it because they don't look up the brand. So I picked this one up at the bins. It sold very quickly for $25. Once again, we priced a little lower because of the condition. And lastly, we found this JCrew piece for $4.39 at a thrift store. We took a chance on this one because it's a men's. It is wool. And it has snowflake kind of Nordic Fair Isle print on it. So for all of those reasons, I grabbed it. I was a little bit nervous picking this up. I almost left it behind because it was a men's size extra small, which is not typically a size I like to pick up in men's or women's, but I took a chance because of all the other factors, and I'm glad I did because it sold very quickly for $50. So don't always pay attention to brand guys. Sometimes you have to really take into account all of the factors that are stacked on top of each other, which makes something a high quality item. All right, guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Drop a comment down below. Let me know how sales are going for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.